You have to start. You're never going to know if you don't start. And a good example for me is my podcast.
Yes.
I've been wanting to do a podcast for years.
I can't complain when there's too much on my plate if I wanted to eat.
Oh, I've never heard that one.
Okay, now you heard it today.
Oh, we're going to learn today.
Yeah, like if I want to eat, I have to be okay with having stuff on my plate.
That we were just fatigued with how boring and standardized everything was.
Okay.
So we were like, let's host a pajama party. Let's do Genesis all black. If everybody's doing all white, let's do all black. People don't want to see the aesthetically pleasing, everything is perfect kind of way of doing things, and brands are just not catching up fast enough.
Good afternoon, my big stars. It's me, the brightest star, Lethabo Maluke, the host of your favorite podcast, Young, Popular, and Opinionated. In the words of the artist Dean Hudson, how many times have I said that so far this year? 12, I think. This podcast is a soft space for hard conversations. And today's conversation, on the scale of soft to hard, it's in between, I think. It's just okay. But I'm not alone. I am not alone. Oh my gosh, guys, I finally got my dream guest. You have been asking me. You added me on Instagram. I added her. It's been, I think, 2-3 months in the making. How's it? We have Jax in the building. Oh my gosh, it's so good to have you here. You are highly requested. I think every other day when we post anything related to the podcast, where is Jax? I know you follow her. I've seen it. You guys follow each other. Do something. You guys interact. Do something about it. So I did something about it, guys. Please, don't say I don't listen. I did. How are you today?
I am exhausted, as always. It's year-end fatigue. I don't know about you, but let's wrap it up.
It's not year-end fatigue, it's end of life fatigue. I think I'm tired of living. I think it's been a long time.
Let's try again another time.
What's that clip from Gomorrah? Long day, long life.
Exactly that. Yeah, no, I'm very tired, but very grateful as always.
Yeah.
But today particularly woke up, missed gym. My team don't retrograde.
Yeah.
It's in full effect.
3 planets are in retrograde at the moment. One is going direct today, the other one on Saturday, the other one into December.
Whatever it means, I'm feeling it.
Miscommunication, old wounds, nausea, all of it is happening. And I'm just...
You're going through it.
I'm going through it too, you know.
Tough week. But it does not make for a bad life.
No, not even. I mean, what's the saying? I can't complain when there's too much on my plate if I wanted to eat.
Oh, I've never heard that one.
Okay, now you heard it today.
Oh, we're going to learn today.
Yeah, if I want to eat, I have to be okay with having stuff on my plate.
Exactly.
That's the only way to eat.
Exactly.
You can't be fed from an empty plate.
Exactly.
Not at a wedding, not at a funeral, not at home. So our conversation today is very, it's very, it's a mix of personal and a topic that people are very interested in today, because obviously I've listened to your podcast and I've heard a bit about your career, your journey. You know, I mean, you have a strong voice on current affairs, one of the most important. I mean, literally the other day I was saying, people don't understand how important it is to have someone who can help them understand what is happening in the country in a way that is not only entertaining, but doesn't feel isolating. Because a lot of the ways in which the news is structured, radio, television, even newspaper, people do listen. People do listen to radio, they do watch. But do they understand? You know, the language is complicated, and we know sometimes there's bias, and people are not trained to understand that, hey, babe, when someone words something like this,
like national crisis versus
yes, national disaster. What does that mean? People think it's the same thing, and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. But before we get into that,
Yeah.
I want us to know a bit more about you, because you weren't always a content creator.
No.
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 You were in events. You were in
Yeah.
the event space. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so 13 years ago,
Yeah.
I started a company with some of my best friends, and we decided to start throwing parties. We were fatigued with two things, I think. The fact that genres back in my day weren't mixing, right? So you would
Yes.
either have a hip hop party, or you would have a house party, or you have a tech party, you know what I mean? And so the first thing that we wanted to do was combine all these events that we were going to, or combine white and black, combine different sounds. And then the second one was that we were just fatigued with how boring and standardized everything was.
Okay.
So we were like, let's host a pajama party. Let's do Genesis all black. If everybody's doing all white, let's do all black. You know, let's do Bacardi Holiday Club, where you give black people an opportunity to go to a festival and camp. And this is something we had been doing with Opikopi,
Yeah.
which was a predominantly white festival. And so, yeah, I did that for 12, 13 years. In the process, we also got a restaurant. We started a marketing company. So we were an agency. And then I quit. And then I quit. Because sometimes I will give up. Sometimes you just give up.
Yeah, like were you like tired of the industry, or were you just ready to move on? Because sometimes it's okay to say, I've been fulfilled.
Yeah.
I've achieved what I needed to achieve in this phase.
Yeah.
I've learned all the lessons. I can go do something else.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of both.
Yeah.
Tired with the industry because after COVID, things had changed a lot.
Okay.
Brands weren't giving as much, but it just felt harder.
Okay.
Right? And then if I'm going to do something hard, it's something that I would like to be passionate about.
Yeah.
Right? And so events I wasn't passionate about, I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And so I felt like I had done what I needed to do.
Yeah.
I had given the people my all in terms of groove and what was the next level. And now we're here.
And I'm so happy that you mentioned brands, because that was going to be my next question. Actually.
Yeah.
Because I think I've also experienced like a bit of frustration with that. I think sometimes brands are not willing to, I guess, give creatives the space that they need to really realize their ideas. Sometimes I think you need to grovel to get your ideas funded. It's a lot of mismatch. There's a lot of mismatch.
There's a lot of one size fits all that happened.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily blame brands because I think they do what they think works, what's going to be sellable. And I think it was a global trend that we all became like this couch.
Yes.
You know, this aesthetic, very much millennial beige. You know what I mean? And we all kind of got boxed into, this is what works for brands, this is what people want to see. But I think there's a change that's happening.
Yes.
People don't want to see the aesthetically pleasing, everything is perfect kind of way of doing things, and brands are just not catching up fast enough.
Yes.
That's what I believe.
Yes.
So we have, we've got a variety of people with different characters, but brands still believe everything has to be like, you know, like, whereas if you tapped into, and it's also an economic indicator for me.
Yeah.
People are tired of the rich aesthetic because they've realized how unattainable it actually is without doing crime. You know, or like if you weren't born into wealth. So there's this shift that's happening, but I think brands are just taking a little bit longer to catch up to. People just want to see realness. They want to see creativity. They don't want to see the same thing duplicated over and over again.
Yeah, because the internet has kind of given everyone an opportunity to be a non-traditional entertainer, as I call them. Because you know how back in the day, when you go viral on the internet, it's either a meme, your like covers, singing was very popular.
Yeah,
and
Ellen DeGeneres.
Yes, like I mean today, I do a backflip off a car into like a pool, and then I'm on the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But nowadays, I can get on the internet and talk for 10 minutes and get more than 70,000 followers. You know, someone can be interested in current affairs. Someone can dance. Someone can literally put together outfits. You don't need to be a model or need to necessarily sell clothes or be a designer to be in the fashion space or be considered a fashionista. And I think with that, a lot of people don't understand that culture comes from that. Like with brands, they don't understand that culture is in all of that. It's not just we create a culture of this, we create a culture of that. Because I remember reading your Young Gifted article where you said you don't enjoy how brands misuse the word culture.
Yeah.
Because they don't really understand what culture means. And I think I'm seeing it in real time where, I don't know, I've experienced this, I think, a bit, where let's say you're given a brief and the brief says, we want you to speak about X, Y, and Z in this way and sell it to your audience. And I'm like, my audience sees me as this, you know?
This kind of person.
This kind of person.
You're now making me that.
You're making me this person.
Yeah.
But also, you're not understanding the ways in which people want to connect with this message.
Yeah.
Right? People nowadays want people that they can relate to. They don't want me to be this like figure that exists very far from their reality.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, Kay Poya has said that the reason why she declines brand deals, even though she's close to 1 million followers, is that she refuses to be someone who gives you links every post. You know, she refuses to be she refused to be someone you open the TikTok, right? And it's like, hey guys, hey my loves. So this brand of covers, you see, this cover's so cool, and that's all you do.
Yeah.
You're no longer entertaining, you're no longer engaging.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand.
Look, I've made a conscious decision. So I've split up my platforms, right? So if you look at the number of followers I have or whatever the case may be, brands are obviously very excited by that on TikTok.
Yes.
Right? And I'm not necessarily a person who count followers. I was on live once and the people were like, you've reached 300,000. I was like, oh, that's
You're like, what? Like,
that's lovely.
Like Ariana Grande saying, I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
What did they say? What does it mean in pop culture terms?
Right? So for me, to do that and so that my people are not fatigued.
Yes.
Instagram is where brands live for me, right? Every now and then it'll trickle into TikTok, but then it has to be, and this is even on my rate card.
Yes.
It has to be educational. It has to be current affairs. It has to be politics in some form.
Yes.
So the campaign I just did with Old Mutual, Add Your Voice, that is very much aligned with what I do on TikTok.
Okay.
But I wouldn't bring all the stuff that I do with Heineken or Dove onto my TikTok. And brands are really struggling with that.
Okay.
And it's one of those things where it's like, but we could offer you so much money. And I'm like, but my integrity is worth more. Do you know what I mean? So there's also a kind of like and obviously I speak from privilege, a responsibility that creators have to their audiences to maintain some form of integrity with them and not just constantly look at them as like, well, this is my check, essentially. Do you post more or do more outside of brand stuff? You know what I mean? Like my stories, I've built a community on my story on Instagram, right? If you look at my feed, you're like, oh my gosh, she's such a brand. I can't say the real word. My children might be watching this, but you know what I mean. You know?
Yes.
But if you click on my stories, we were doing everything. Yesterday I went to go vote, for example. It was like, come, let's go vote. I forgot we were voting. And then, let's go vote. And I'm making a sandwich. And none of this is curated. And none of this is like, it happens when it comes, you know. And I'm a very big believer in that because people want to attach to that authenticity. Give it to them.
Yeah, because people, I think, are very suspicious now of the activist economy, as I call it.
Oh,
right?
What is that?
So, okay, how I explain it is that there's kind of like a rise in the new type of creator where they're not necessarily an activist. They just give us summaries of things that are happening and not necessarily current affairs, not necessarily politics, but they attach themselves to very random things in the news cycle. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And they simply say in a monotone voice, they don't necessarily say, guys, you should pay attention to this because this matters in the grand scheme of things. They just say, this is what's happening. They get 200,000 views, repost my video, and then dip. And then those same people are now kind of like, I guess, getting money from being activists or change makers without ever needing to be, because they don't actually have a stance on anything. They just simply sell.
Recycling.
Yeah. And I'd even argue that they're nibbling off of other people, off of other people's creativity and methods and style a bit. Sometimes you see, I'm like, That's very similar to what Jack said. I don't know. I'm actually saying that. Wait, I said that. Well, I'm gonna walk past.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
I'm gonna act like I didn't see that. But
Yeah.
it's like an activist economy where people are kind of like piggybacking off of trauma, whatever, to like make a name for themselves, but also to make money.
Yeah.
And I think with me, I also kind of align with you in that way that, you know, if it's a collaboration like what I did with Amazi and Women for Change, so we were raising funds to give survivors of GBV the funds to go to counseling, to support their legal journeys if they're in a legal dispute with any of their abusers or whoever that they've exposed. Also, if they need assistance funding the next step towards their education, if they need to improve their skills, because that's the thing. Survivors are exploited. Their image, we put them on podcasts. I make you tell your story to my audience. It gives me views. It pays me. But after the hype has died, you are left with these overwhelming legal fees. You're traveling to province, to city, to be on these podcasts, to be on these shows, to sit down in these interviews, but no one offers you real support for the next step. And so with me, if it's something like that, I don't want to be, compensated. If it's something like naked insurance or whatever, give me my money.
Yeah, run me my money.
Give me my money, right? But if it's something in that capacity, I refuse to be compensated because I cannot be actively profiting off of someone else's trauma. I mean, I have the privilege of, I don't know, when I was 16 and I shared my sexual assault story, I had the privilege of going to therapy. Like my mom was like, okay, what are we doing about this? And immediately 4 sessions, first paid, upfront, no questions about it. But not everyone has that. So I just wanted to ask how important it is for you to impact earning while also still being like a voice for your community, for your audience.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you've explained that this is my brand-ish page, but this is my important, serious. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
But sometimes people ask you to blur the line.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to, like, I guess, throw your community under the bus. And even, I mean, you haven't done it, but I'm just saying.
I rue the day.
Yeah.
No, for me, I won't lie to you. I am privileged. I think
Yes.
let's very much start there.
Yeah.
So I have the privilege to decline things that just don't align with me or don't align with my vision or what I think I need to do, and I also do take into consideration what is the community going to think about this.
Okay.
There was something that I was meant to do. I won't say what it is, but there was something that I was meant to do last week, and it took 2 therapy sessions. I went to my therapist and I was like, I have a moral dilemma.
Yeah.
Right. I'm in a binding contract and I have to do this thing. And things have changed in South Africa, so I can't necessarily always keep doing it or whatever. And, you know, thankfully things worked out and I no longer had to do that thing. But it is a difficult position to be in. But for me, I would rather not take it.
Okay.
In the same way you would rather not take the money for what's this thing called? For Women for Change or doing a campaign like that.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for us to recognize that there are people behind those screens.
Yes.
And we don't get anywhere, not that we don't get anywhere, but we use them to get to places and they use us for information, for entertainment, whatever the thing may be. That's why I'm unbothered by if people are doing the same thing as me. First of all, you'll never be me.
Yes.
Let's just get that right. But also secondly, if it causes more and more people to start activism or start sharing information, that's really good for me. Then that means that I've had real influence.
Yes.
Right? Because now we've got more people speaking about real things as opposed to mind-numbing things.
Yes.
Like what's your body count? Or, you know, I hate that stuff. Like, it's 2025.
Yeah.
The higher, the better. It's called experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me, I don't think it's as complex.
Yeah.
Mainly because I think I know who I am, I know what I stand for, and I am privileged enough to be able to decline things that don't necessarily align with me.
Cool. I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed that because yeah, like I think it's important for your young audience as well who see you as a role model to
Ooh.
yes, to
What did
see
Rihanna say? I didn't sign up to be a role model, but I found
yeah,
myself here.
to I guess understand your reality, understand your journey, understand what it takes to be you. And before we get into the next segment, what advice do you have for someone who wants to, I guess, use their platform for good, but are scared or I don't know, are just being held back by literally anything?
I actually went to therapy this week, and my therapist was speaking. We were speaking about anxiety.
Yes.
And how essentially at the core of anxiety is this fear of the unknown, and how silly that is in reality. Like you don't know what's gonna happen, yet you're afraid, right? And so I would say, and it's the cheesiest stuff that you have to say, you have to start. You're never gonna know if you don't start. Like, and a good example for me is my podcast.
Yes.
I've been wanting to do a podcast for years, and I was just terrified for years. And then people started bullying me on TikTok, like, just do it, just do it. And I did it, and I started it, and it's done well, I think, for a podcast that's just starting, or so I've been told, because I'm also a pessimist. And do I think I didn't have the time to start it at the time? 100%.
Yes.
Right? And so that's why I had to pull back and be like, I'm no longer giving the quality of work that I want to give. So I need to hold off and plan again and just do it to the best of my ability next year, probably.
Yeah.
But I had to start in order to figure that out, in order to figure out what people like, what people don't like. It is the cheesiest advice in the world, but you're not going to get anywhere if you don't just start. If you don't just post the video, if you don't just... Okay, don't go knocking at people's offices. Security be tight these days. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only advice I would have is start, and more importantly, understand that you are a vessel of communication and you have a responsibility to be as close to accurate as possible.
Yes.
Right? In a world of misinformation and facts and people starting rumors that South Africa is being auctioned off at the G20, we really need people to just start to slow down and start reading more and understanding, you know, and and to take it back to what you were saying about people just summarizing things and that lack of media literacy that we have. You have a responsibility because you actually don't know what you are putting out there and what effect it might have on people and what impact it might have. So start and be responsible enough to do the research and stay true to your word. I think that's what I would say.
Good. I love that. I think I might have needed to hear that too, at some point.
It comes with age. It's called wisdom.
Yeah, I've only been here for 21 years. Yeah.
I'm 32. I'm grown. I remember, I've seen Nelson with my eyes. Nelson Mandela. Not just on my money.
I saw him in a photo outside of a memorial in 2013. Hi there.
That's just you guys missed out on a great man.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, you know, a lot of people... I have a question for you. When you first saw me on the internet, how old did you think I was?
I thought you were actually younger.
Really?
Yeah, I thought you were in your teens. And I was like, well, this young child is... So my shock of 21 isn't that you're young, it's that you're older than I thought you were.
Okay.
I thought, where does this kid get this wealth of information? Like, because the assumption is that kids don't read anymore, nobody cares. And it's a terrible assumption to have, to add. But yeah, I was just like, it's a lot of big words. Your vocabulary is wide. I was like, yo, some of these things, I'm like, what is he saying? Like, what does this word mean?
Yeah.
Because I think one thing people don't know about me is that I'm a very simple and literal person.
Okay.
And I think that's why I'm able to communicate as effectively as I am.
Yes.
I hate complex discourse.
Yes.
I hate when we use verbose words.
Yes.
And just like, because I feel like it's alienating.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you were really smart also.
Thank you. I was like, everyone thinks I'm like 16. And
Yeah.
whenever I tell people, I'm like, no, guys. I actually graduated from uni this year. They're like, When did you go to uni? Do they
At which
let,
point?
They're like, do they let
Are
12-year-olds?
you like a young Sheldon or what?
Anyway, the next segment is a bit of a political chat.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I mean, I wanted the first part to be friendly, to be easy for people to like really be, I don't know, led into this conversation. I really hate starting things gun blazing.
Guns blazing.
Yeah,
sad.
it's scary sometimes, you know. So I think I wrote down here. I literally wrote it down like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was like, brand manipulation. Who is pulling the strings? Right? I was like, who is pulling the strings? And I asked myself that question. And then I literally plugged that into Google. And I was like, brand manipulation, who is pulling the strings? And I'm like, that might not be the most effective way to ask this question, right?
yeah.
Because we often hear economics and politicians throwing words like market volatility, like investor confidence, and rand manipulation. But South Africans don't actually know what that means. It doesn't mean someone is holding a rand and manipulating it.
Yeah.
You know, it's very blurry because yes, we see the rand go up. We see it go down. And we hear that our currency is reacting to something, right? So my main question is, when we talk about rand manipulation, right? What does that actually mean in practice? Who benefits and who gets hurt, you know, for our viewers?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of our viewers have been also trying to get more into the trail of money.
Yeah, grasp
and
the concept of
understand
it.
how the money works
Yeah.
in our government. Yeah.
So to understand, and I'd like to just first off say that I'm not an economist. I failed economics 5 times.
Hade
It
dog.
almost made me give up on my degree. But to the best of my understanding, you
Yes.
kind of also first have to understand that the entire world trades in dollars.
Yes.
Right? It's the medium of exchange. So when Saudi Arabia is selling oil to China, they use the dollar. When South Africa is selling oranges to the United States or even in Europe, they use the dollar.
Yes.
Right? And this is from World War II, because the dollar was the most stable currency after World War. The Europeans obviously had gone through it. The Japanese and Asia had gone through it.
Yes.
And America was the only stable currency. So they said, you know what, let us trade using the dollar to stabilize the world economy. And that has been how it has been for years now,
Yes.
right? In the most simple way. Now, when we exchange in dollars or when we buy things in dollars, we have to buy those dollars. So you'll also find that governments have stashed a lot of dollars. So I don't know if you recently saw, they said China has been quietly selling away its stocks of dollars, right?
Yes.
And when we hoard these dollars and we use it as a medium exchange, the dollar becomes a very powerful currency. So now you've got this powerful currency that is being used as a medium of exchange. So now who's pulling the purse strings? Sorry, I'm very handsy.
Oh, no problem. Me too.
Who's
Me
pulling
too.
the purse strings?
Yes.
So the story is essentially that 20-something banks, I can't remember how many, both local and international, basically colluded. They came together and they said, the price of the dollar to the rand is 10 rand, for example.
Yes.
We sell it for 12 rand, but we're going to bring it up to 15 rand so that we can make more profits. What that does is obviously weaken the rand, because then the
Yes.
rand's value to buy the dollar is now less. And so over years, this is essentially what these banks have been doing. Chase, Morgan, and I think ABSA was in it, but ABSA immediately said, no, we're gonna cooperate. Standard Bank, I think, Nedbank, it's a bunch of banks, local and international. Now, the effect that has on you as a normal person is that things become more expensive for you, because as we know, we exchange and trade a lot of things. So as much as South Africa is a very self-sufficient country in terms of what it creates and what it makes, there's a lot of stuff that we also get outsourced. For example, the iPhone.
Yes.
Right? We don't make it here. So things become more expensive now. As we import goods and stuff like that. But also, the less you value our currency, the more you don't get foreign direct investment. Because someone is saying, okay, I come and I invest 10 rand. Oh, I invest $100 at the value of 10 rand. But now, when the rand keeps tanking, that $100 is no longer worth 10 rand, it's now worth 5 rand.
Right.
So I'm technically losing every time I come invest in this country. And all countries need foreign direct investment, especially developing countries. And then what that does is that it affects our economy. We start losing jobs. And so it's like a big melting pot of chaos that would need someone who's well versed in it to explain it. But that's kind of like how I've understood it. And so the Competition Commission has been trying for years to get these banks to come and account, because I don't necessarily think that we can get the dollar back to 7 rand.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
yes,
almost
yes,
like
yes.
impossible. But I think the bigger call is, why are we allowing Western companies and Western rating agencies like Moody's, it's now that we know blatantly that they can be corrupt, why are we allowing them to evaluate our currencies?
Yeah.
And that's where the BRICS currency comes in, where it says that we actually no longer want to trade in the dollar. And it's called the petrodollar because it was first rooted in oil. Saudi Arabia is also moving towards trying to exchange in its own currencies. China and Russia are already, because of the sanctions against Russia, are already exchanging in their own currencies between the two of them. So there's almost like a shift that's happening. And I think South Africa just wants some form of accountability for the harm that it's caused in the country. So yeah, that's my best explanation of the rand manipulation.
Because like a lot of people are very interested in knowing if it's engineering, if it's because of political differences. Like a lot of people want to understand.
I think
that.
so. Because think about, if you look about how the rand fluctuated during Jacob Zuma.
Yes.
Don't like the man, but it was very obvious that there was a there was like a concerted effort to get him out of power.
Yes.
Right? And that can come from private and public. There's public pressure, the stories that are coming out of all the stuff that he's done publicly. And then private is also saying, we need the country to work for us in our way. And we don't like the way this, because say what you want to say about Jacob Zuma, he was our most social president.
Yes.
Built the most hospitals, built the most schools. The roads in KZN, fantastic. Wish Thabo Mbeki had done that for the Eastern Cape. Like, every time I'm driving in Durban, I'm just like, yeah, these roads are lacquer.
Yeah.
So it's a conspiracy theory because we don't necessarily have the tangible proof, but it is not a conspiracy theory that is without merit. I learned in my class, Media and International Relations, about how conspiracy theories are also ways in which populations and people criticize their governments and are almost like require a call to action.
Yes.
Right? So, and the example that was used in that course was Nigeria. There was a conspiracy theory after the Nigerian president went to go get medical aid care in the UK that he actually died in the UK and he came back as a clone.
Oh my gosh.
Now, if you're looking at that surface level,
Yes.
that sounds silly.
Yes.
But underneath that, what is actually being spoken about is how the African leaders are stripping the country dry of resources, pocketing everything, and then they go and have their medical aid or Medicare taken overseas. They don't invest in infrastructure or Medicare or education in our country because they can always leave. That's the underlying criticism. And what that underlying criticism does is bring people together to have the conversation. So you're looking at a conspiracy theory, but if you deep it really, what this conspiracy theory does is encourage people to talk more about what's happening in the country. And so I think the rand manipulation, or even the conspiracy theory of the G20, the bigger question is why do things not function when there is no G20?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because one of the questions that our viewers sent.
We have viewers' questions? Love.
Not in a traditional sense.
okay.
Not like we have a poll. We just had a poll like once or twice.
Yeah.
But someone left a comment, right? And was a comment, and then another person sent DM. And they were like, if you were to ever discuss the economy, we'd also be interested in knowing, like, who benefits from a weakened rand? Is it solely international investors? Is it solely our politicians? And is there a reality where the average South African could ever gain anything from a weakened currency? No. But also, and then it ties in with what you just said about the conspiracy relating to the G20 summit, that are we experiencing a modern, like, economic colonization. Because a lot of people view the G20 as exactly that, economic colonization.
Look, that is a little bit of misinformation.
Yeah.
Because I think because South Africans didn't know much about the G20, they thought it was like our thing.
Yes.
It's not ours. Okay? It was in Brazil.
And sorry to interrupt, but I think this is the perfect platform to also clarify what the G20 was about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the conspiracy was that, you know, they're coming into the country and South Africa's being watched. I'm sorry, it kills me because so I have 3 beliefs and I'll get into the G20 now. If South Africa was being sold, we wouldn't know about it. We would find out in 20 years at a commission, South Africa does.
Why would I know on Twitter? Why would I know through Facebook? And most importantly, why would I know from user 1 trillion in a TikTok conversation?
It took a general coming up on the 6th of July and hosting a press conference for us to know tangibly that our country is under siege and that we are, you know, that justice, police
is being tampered with.
You know what I mean? It took a real ass person. You think we're gonna find out on TikTok? Number 1. Number two, what makes you think we had control of South Africa in the first place?
Exactly.
What makes you think, like, people were saying, like, oh, the Durban port is being sold. What makes you think we own it? South Africa is the most landlocked country in the world in the sense that, not landlocked, but the most fenced country.
Yes.
I remember I was in Morocco, and I remember just seeing open veldt, and I was just so confused, like, where your gates at? Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll be driving in the middle of nowhere in South Africa, there's fencing because that land belongs to someone. But I'm just joking. But that, for me, those are the holes we can poke in the conspiracy theory. But the G20 has existed since 1999. And it was mainly economic in the beginning. And, you know, it was in response to, I forgot, some crisis that happened, I think, in Asia first in like the 90s. But it really came into power in 2008 when the financial crisis hit. And it's essentially multilateralism in the sense that Amahle and Lethabo realized that because they exchange with each other so much, they should probably have policies that benefit each other.
Yes.
So when all these leaders descend on South Africa, what they're doing is policy. There's no exchange of money. Yes, with the B20, there can be deals that are made or whatever the case may be, but very rarely from a public situation, right? Maybe President Cyril Ramaphosa and the EU commissioners sit together and they come up with a deal for us to trade. That's cool.
Yeah.
But very rarely is there going to be like quite a literal exchange. We are deciding policy, you know? So I did a TikTok about this and I said, the easiest way for me to explain it is that the Project 300 has been adopted by the G20. And it's a project between the World Bank and the African Development Bank. And essentially what they're saying is that by the year 2030, we want to make sure that 300 million Africans have access to electricity. That's what's been decided. How is it going to work? Okay, cool. The World Bank has put up $30 billion. Yes. The African Development Bank has also put up $5 billion, right? You as Zimbabwe, you as, I'll even take it to, you know, Madagascar, I don't know, but this is very African based. Yeah. You guys now go and apply. You say, this is the power that I'm going to use. These are people I'm going to hire. These are the skills that I need. This is the products that I'm going to use. This is how I'm going to fund it. These are my timelines and so on and so forth. You present that. And the World Bank says, okay, I'm cool with you doing this. Here's the first, obviously not the one country's going to get the entire $5 billion.
Yes.
Here's $50 million. Start with your phase 1 because you have to phase it. And we will give you favorable interest rates for that, right? That's what was decided at the G20. Those are the kind of decisions that come from the G20. So let me, if South Africa was being auctioned off, let me tell you something, it wouldn't be happening at the G20 and we wouldn't know about it, is my point. And so for me, the conspiracy theory that came from the G20, I think was more frustration from people that, when all these people are coming into our countries, things can work.
Yes.
So we have the ability, we have the money. We watch things come about. We said, robots are out right now. Day after I was driving on William Nickel out. I said, oh my days. They couldn't even give us like 48 hours of bliss.
I remember.
Like, gee whiz.
Because I remember even with me when I went to the Travis Scott concert, on the way, because you had to use Nasrec, it was a wreck. The whole road, a wreck. And then the week before, Bethany and I were coming from a film screening and we're going to Soweto. And we come up. Fences. Plants. A functioning country.
You know, it was so nice. We had a week of function. It was brilliant.
It felt like being in a new country.
Like, I was driving somewhere and I was so annoyed. I was like, why is there traffic? It's like 11 o'clock. And then when I eventually drive past, they painting the roads. I said, oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
You can even ask the people here at the studio, the days leading up to the G20, I think 2 weeks in a row, I was super late. I'm like, guys, the road was getting fixed. Magically getting fixed.
M1 has lights. Come on.
Yeah, because another conspiracy theory I've heard, and I want to share this with you. So because we had the arrival of Palestinian refugees around the G20 summit, I saw the craziest, I think one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire human life. And this man was like, you know, and he's passing this off as fact. He's passing this off as verified. And I think that's terrifying. And he's like, guys, there is a conspiracy happening at the G20 and it's a discussion about how the Palestinians are going to introduce Sharia law and take over South Africa.
Was he American?
No, very black, very African, very Zulu. So
you won't trap me into tribal wars, but I am closer.
Yes, I was just like.
So yeah,
I took a step back and I was like,
look,
cannot engage.
Yeah, look. So there's certain topics that I find extremely divisive.
Yeah,
that I have a responsibility that I don't engage in.
Yes.
I think there's times for learning, and then there's times where you look at something, you're just like, you know what? No matter how I explain this, that's how I feel about xenophobia, and that's why I completely avoided this whole Palestine thing.
Yeah.
I've done many videos on Israel and Palestine, from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free.
Yes.
But the underlying conspiracy theory there is, why does South Africa constantly take care of other people and not us? That's what people are really feeling.
Yes.
That's the underlying
Because
feeling.
there's this ongoing question, okay, do we have the capacity to deal with anyone else's problems, no matter how small or big the problem is? As a country, do we have the capacity if we don't have the capacity for locals?
So I agree with that, but I always feel like our anger is misdirected.
Yes.
When we're, for example, speaking about xenophobia, your issue isn't that there's all these illegal immigrants in your country, including the ones that come on planes. The issue is that South Africa's security is flawed.
Yes.
And what you should be questioning is not why there are illegal immigrants in South Africa. It's why your borders are so open. That's what you should, and that's what you should be emailing or writing a letter to your ward council about. Okay. So for me, the Palestinian thing, it touches me because I have an affinity to understand them because of my father, and my father explaining the difficulties of apartheid to me.
Yes.
And the reason why I think South Africa will always open its arms to refugees is because of our history.
Yes.
We at times are very quick to forget that other countries took us in. Zambia, Angola, Russia sent weapons, you know, England, they started some protests at some point on our behalf. Ireland, in fact, was the first European country to boycott South African products, you know, in protest to our oppression, because the Irish had been oppressed by the British. So they're one of the few white people who understand what it's like to be oppressed, and the Scottish and so on. And so when you're looking for answers as to why this is happening, you have to understand that the people that are still in power are very much people who experience that in real life.
Yes.
The people that were in power are some of the people that were in exile. And so there is a affinity to assist those people. Having said that, I do understand the frustration of South Africans to say, what more? You know, South Africa seems to be, you know, this place where we are taking on everybody's problems.
Yes.
But then I ask you, when you don't stand up, the whole world goes to shit. I'm so sorry. You guys will beep that out. You know, in the sense that if Ireland didn't stand up for South Africa, where would South Africa have been? You know? And so it is a delicate balance of understanding how South African feels and understanding why our leadership makes those decisions, and also just having an element of humanity. You should never be upset at the horror that people are experiencing in Palestine and them finding refuge in South Africa. It would, if Sudanese, the Congolese, anybody who needs help, we should have an element of humanity. We are living in a very individual society that constantly me. And it's not without, I'm not saying it's not right that you are considering yourself.
Yes.
But I bring us back to the foundations of Ubuntu. What is that?
I don't know.
Of Ubuntu as a philosophy in Africa, and us always taking care of each other. That was a very long-winded answer.
No,
but
that's good.
Yeah.
I love long answers, by the way. I think we're in, astrologically, we're in the time of misunderstanding. So if the longer the answer,
the better.
The better.
Yeah.
If people can understand and there's clarification, the better.
Yeah.
Because if you leave it at, be angry if you want, don't be angry if you want.
Yeah.
It's very,
Yeah.
it doesn't give anything. It has no meat.
Yeah.
Because I'm also very compelled by the story of our freedom fighters. Like, I've read the story of Tsietsi Mashinini and his family time and time again, because he's an unsung hero. Like, a lot of people love to take credit for the Soweto uprisings, but for the most part, him and his brothers led it. It wasn't an effort of anyone else but those kids. And I think about how, when you read his story, he was in Liberia, he was in Nigeria, he was in Russia. He found, like, him and his brothers, not just him alone, but him and his brothers found refuge everywhere from time to time. And I mean, his final resting place was like, he passed away in Nigeria and then he was brought here. And I think about how sometimes, even with people trying to make a change, they need to go and do it somewhere safe, right? There's not always a place to do it safely. And even with the people of Palestine, I'm like, it's not necessarily the fact that they're lazy and they're here and they just want to. I'm like, some people want to fight, but they need to do it somewhere safe.
Yeah, they can't. And I think as South Africans, I mean, I'm grateful to us having 30 years of democracy, but I think we are quick to forget. And we have a responsibility as the champions of freedom, and I know nobody wants to do it, but hey, man, somebody's got to do it. To, set the world right and remind people of what it is to do the right thing. And going to the ICJ and taking Israel to court was no easy feat. We are still getting hectic feedback from that, particularly from the United States. I mean, today they said we're not invited to the G20. I was okwazi. We are founding members of the G20. You're gonna have to let us in, brother. You
can't uninvite me from my own party.
You understand?
It's my birthday party.
My party.
Like
what? Paguchi 7. You guys can do whatever you guys want.
Yes.
So it's not difficult standing for something. I mean, it's not easy standing for something. It's a very difficult thing to do, but somebody's got to do it. And if we're going to constantly complain about the dominance of the West and how the West does things, I promise you the West is not going to change. We have to have an effort as a global South to kind of change the shift and change the balance of power. And that only comes up with standing up and doing the right thing.
Yeah, because even in smaller capacities, like people struggling to support this national shutdown that happened a week ago, a lot of people were asking themselves, okay, but what do I gain from posting a purple profile? What do I gain from, I don't know, lying down for 15 minutes? What do I gain from reposting a shelter? What do I gain from going to those demonstrations? It's very much, if I have not been personally affected and I'm being asked to be someone else's voice, what do I gain? And if I have nothing to gain, what's the point?
What's the point of doing it? Yeah, I think that's always been interesting for me. I can't always say that I've always been selfless. I've been very selfish.
It's a process. You learn. You see the value of it. I think once you're bubbled and sheltered, it's very like Linda the Good in the bubble.
I watched Wicked this past weekend. I don't get it.
I'll explain it to you after, don't worry.
Why was this such a fuss? After
this episode, I'll explain it to you. And it's like, pop the bubble, get out of the bubble, right? And once you get out of the bubble and you see the value.
Yeah. Because I think the other thing is that, once again, a very individualized world. But I'll give you this. This week is not Israel, Italy. And I know they have that very right-wing leader, but let's just hold on for that. Italy just passed that femicide on its own is a crime. That I think it's life imprisonment immediately. So it's not recognized just like under murder. It is now its own category.
Yeah.
Those things don't happen if the women of Italy aren't constantly protesting. We weren't seeing much of it, obviously. There was bigger things happening in the world. But those ladies have been championing in Italy. Their numbers are not even as bad as ours. I think it was 156 women killed in 2024, 2025. You look at South Africa, we'll be sitting at 6,000 and something or whatever, right? And I was explaining to my friend, first of all, I bullied all my friends. And that's what you can also do. I texted my one friend, I said, why is your profile picture not purple? Like, she was like, okay, but I don't understand whatever. And I was like, no, I think, if I'm looking through and I had to present it to her on a PR level. So if I'm looking and I'm scrolling through my Instagram, the only profile pictures that are not purple are men and yours. And she changed it, right? And then my one friend, who happens to be a male, was like, but all of this seems also performative. And I was like, but it is.
Yeah.
That is the point. It is a performance.
Yeah.
Once you start understanding it like that, the performance is to garner attention. When you garner attention, you can get people thinking. When people start thinking, you can start to mold change. And so that, for me, that whole thing, the profile pictures being purple, I know a lot of men were just like, so what is this going to do? But then you had people protesting in London. You had it on BBC, on CNN, on this. Australia, you had people all over the world. And now all of a sudden, globally, purple has become the symbol for... what's this thing called? Standing for women, let's call it that. You've done something there, and it might not be tangible to us yet, but it's a step. There's no change that happens overnight. So I don't know, maybe people think like Nelson walked out and then the next day we were voting. That was a 4-year process. Before that, it was decades and hundreds of years. So, yeah.
Because I think we've been groomed by social media to want things to happen instantly, and that there's no point to like a long-term commitment. Because Women for Change too, like a lot of people who've gotten in trouble, who have said Women for Change is an organization, came overnight. They came for Chris Brown. They've been active for over a decade, and only now, and they've had the same objective for over a decade. We need to declare this a national for over a decade, and it's only now in 2025 that they've gotten somewhere. And I'm like, it's a long-standing fight. So like a lot of, what's the word? Despondency.
That's like English.
Yeah, despondency. Like a lot of people are despondent, right? It's like, I don't believe in standing up for queer rights.
So that one for me is always particularly interesting, especially from a woman's perspective. Because let me tell you something, you are at the bottom of the food chain as Black women. Okay? Forget queer, and when I say queer, let me just say queer men. Queer men are even a level above us. Oh, they are. Right? They're a level above. The Black woman is at the bottom. When they take gay rights, yours are next. And America is a fantastic example of that.
Yes.
That when they start chipping away at rights, yours are next. Donald Trump started slowly chipping away at people's rights, and then, Roe versus Wade has been overturned. So these things happen, it's always so hilarious to me. Not hilarious, that's maybe not the right word.
Yeah.
I do find politics hilarious, I'm sorry. Like, I will watch
Sometimes they are.
And it's always funny to me when people are like, when we would learn in school and we'd be like, how did the Holocaust happen? It's happening. It's just we're in it now.
Yeah.
Things are happening. The world is becoming more polarized, which means that everybody's either veered very left or very right, and there's no one in the center who's like got a balance of both. It's happening. And yet you ask yourself and you realize, I understand why Germans didn't know it was happening until it was too late.
Yes.
Those who were on the right side of history. You know what I mean? So if you don't care for the next man, you'll be the next man not taken care of.
Exactly. And I think that's an excellent point to end this discussion, because I feel like you and I could talk about 150 other things.
We really could.
We really could, but this was such a lovely conversation. I'm so glad you can make it. You and I were both sick that other week. Literally, I didn't make it either.
Hey, mate. Things.
I was coughing. My head was bad.
Did I catch the stars and the moon?
Bad week. Bad day, bad week. I was so ill. Like, literally, when you said you were coming down with something,
You said,
I was like,
it's like that moment when your friend cancels plans. You're like, thank God.
and then I texted Ruby and I was like, I can't breathe, my sister. I was like, I am fighting for my life in this bed.
Yeah.
I was like, thank God. I was like, I was gonna power through it, obviously. But I'm like, girl, I'm not leaving my bed. Be blessed. And then I was like, be blessed.
I also felt really bad. I was like, oh my God. I hate to cancel. I hate being late. I hate to cancel. So I was just like, but I actually cannot. It's imp.
It was bad. I was
Just
like,
short for impossible.
Yeah.
I shorten everything.
imp.
Imp,
I've
yeah.
never heard that.
No, it's just me and my friends. Like, are you being Jen? As in genuine.
Oh.
It's like life is so hard. Just shorten it up. Let's get to where we're trying to go.
Because I think, like, with me, we don't really have shortened versions of things.
Yeah.
We have, like, slang. Like,
Yeah,
you have a
own-
completely different word for things, right? Like, in high school, if, like, it was chai, people be like, gum. Because gum is, you know the sound when the light goes off, like, gum. So if something bad happens, people are like, yo, gum.
Down.
Down.
You're
Like,
so down.
I'm so down. So yeah, I'm glad this happened. I'm glad this is our season finale, our last one for the
I'm
year.
glad.
And to the big stars, I will see you. What year are we in?
Hey, Ndombi. 2026.
What year are we?
Next year's
Yeah.
2026.
I'll see you in 2026, the year of the horse.
Oh my God, you believe in Chinese astrology?
Yeah,
Love it.
Because this was the year of the snake.
Snake, yes.
Right?
My friends and my group, we change every year to what, like the year before, it's
Yeah.
the year of the dragon.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe.
Same.
Because everything that they've said, like,
Happens.
happens. Friends, this year, friends changed jobs. People got changed. I was like,
I was
oh.
shedding. I was shedding.
Shitting. But yeah,
Next year's the year of the horse. It's carrying us forward.
strength,
Strength.
no weakness.
You know, certainty, being grounded. So, see you in the year of the horse. And please stop writing me letters. Write it to Gaten. Write it to your ward counselor. Stop writing me those weird things, please. I don't have the capacity.
I said, I don't have the capacity.
If you have the talent, Parliament. Bye, guys.